Welcome back to The Scoop. I'm Diego Cordovez with Adam Schoenfeld, and our special guest today is Kristy Gazes.
Hey. Hey, guys.
Kristy, you look good.
Oh, thanks, baby. I feel good.
Yeah, you smell good, too.
Thank you.
I haven't said that to either Jamie Gold or Scotty Wynn or any of our other guests.
Really?
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm
smell
glad
better.
that you're getting over that homosexual thing finally.
Who said I'm getting over
Oh,
it?
sorry. Taking a break. It's Vegas after all.
No matter what, Kristy's our best-looking and best-smelling guest thus far.
We've established that.
Gee, thanks, guys.
And but unlike with Scotty, keep your hands to yourself.
I'll try.
I've always remembered you playing the mixed games, the limit games, being very successful at them. And now I've just seen a whole bunch of results in the no limit and the heads-up no limit. Is it just because you're playing a lot more no limit, or you've really worked on the game or focused on it?
I definitely haven't worked on the game. I think I'm an average no limit tournament player still. But I think just by playing so many tournaments and also stepping away from it and just playing part-time now. So I play... You know, at the World Series, I'll play maybe 10 to 15 tournaments, but other than that, throughout the year, I play maybe 8 more, like 1 a month max. And I also have another business now, so I'm making money with less stress, and I don't have to deal with degenerate people coughing and breathing on me. And
wow. That's an advertisement for the poker.
yeah, like if you want to play poker for a living, come on down. If you have to use Airborne every day. You have to use antibacterial wash, or you'll just you have to cover your whole body in it before you play.
I go the other way. I don't watch the entire World Series, and I feel like that's English.
That's what most people do, I think.
Yeah,
it's the anti-edge.
That's not that unusual, unfortunately.
Is that just a general problem you've encountered, or have you had some specific incidents? No, really, some specific incidents that really affected you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that the more I play poker tournaments specifically, the more I become like a Mrs. Howard Hughes. I'm becoming more and more germphobe.
But you don't drink your own urine.
I try not to anymore, but that's another show, isn't it?
You know what's funny?
Sorry.
I mean, in a live game, you can always get a table change or a seat change.
Yeah.
I mean, and in all seriousness, in a tournament, that's your seat.
Yeah.
So if you're in bad shape, on a personal level, then
it's grody. There's a dude yesterday, nice kid, but he just got off the plane and he was sneezing and coughing all over me. And I had to get up. I was so scared.
That wasn't in the poker tournament. You can't.
It was in the
play that on
tournament.
poker.
It was, yeah. And then we got table change, and he came. First he was to my right, then he's to my left. He's like, yeah, I have a cold. I just got off the plane.
In poker terms, is it better to have someone with tuberculosis on your right or left? In terms of a loose aggressive.
I'll tell you a few. I mean, I won't name the player, of course. Poor
name
guy.
him. Come on.
But I was playing a tournament years ago, and in Reno, and we were down to 2 tables, and this guy was enormous, and he probably hadn't showered in a week. I mean, he was the smelliest guy, and I've broken my nose so many times that I can't even smell anything. And he, I think, as therapy, managed to break through and open up my nasal passages again because he was so pungent. And we were down to the final 2 tables, and you could smell him far away. But at his table, he was sitting, and then there was about 2 seats worth of empty as everyone else had started to move away and crush together. I remember Kathy Liebert was there with me, and when we drew for the final table, I turned to her and I said, "This is the most important table draw that you'll ever have." Usually you're thinking, well, maybe I want to be on this guy's left or his right. Well, here it was like, if I want to survive another day, I need to be as many seats away from this guy as possible.
He probably had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich stuck between one of his folds that was there for a few months. So I don't know.
And he hadn't won enough to get a gastric bypass like all the other poker players. That may be the case.
Yeah, this is a good strategy show, isn't it?
I'm having a second stomach put in now because I want to eat more.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to get
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to get a donation from one of the larger players and just have a second, like a cow has.
Yeah, or you can just get the next player who has the gastric bypass surgery and borrow their stomach that they could cut out and then add it to yours.
We could save money, just have the operation done at the same time.
That's right. Split, take one out. Yeah, take one out and put it inside you. Good idea.
Could be.
Yeah.
But back to your first point, it sounds like you were somewhat burnt out just playing a lot, and this helps a lot in terms of your results and your attitude.
I think it's just stepping away from it for a while. Like, less is more. If you just the classic. If you hold on to something too tight, you'll never get it. You want it so bad, so bad, so bad, and you get so close, and you can taste it every single time. But then I think a lot of poker players have that thing where they just beat the living shit out of themselves, and I think the tournaments make you sort of more sadistic and more sort of masochistic, and just the more you play, if you play all the prelims and then by the time you get to the main event, how can you possibly be on your best game? It's not possible. So for me, when I stepped away and I found another light at the end of the tunnel, like another career that I think I could actually do, it's really hard being a professional gambler to step away and have a regular job. Yeah. So it gave me this hope, and then my game started improving, funny enough. So I think that's the reason.
What are you doing?
I'm doing options trading.
Isn't that a lot of math?
It's just I have
it's in my head.
Yeah. Profession wasn't it stock market? No.
So that takes a lot of pressure off to have a nice
Yeah,
low pressure
absolutely.
job like options trading.
Yeah, like options trading.
Stress, a lot of
Moment to moment, it's just, you know,
No, it's just I think
check just comes in.
I could see, at least you're not gambling.
for me, I think it's just because it's different and it's new, and I got really lucky and got tutelage by somebody who's great at it, and so why not take opportunities when in the past I would never be like, I'd have opportunities to meet people that are in other businesses and say,
Right.
oh, well, screw it, I can just play cards. But now, I'll be 40 this year, and I always decided when I'm 40 I'm going to retire from poker pretty much. I mean, I'll play part-time occasionally, but there's so much more to life than poker. I mean, not to negate anyone's interest in poker
that's not
at all.
true.
But for me, I've been doing it 16 years, and I don't want to be doing it like when I'm, I have to do it.
And
You want to do it for fun.
For fun.
Yeah. And full time for most of those 16 years.
Yeah, and I'm done. I'm just over it. Like, I enjoy it now because I play once in a while. And
Obviously, part of it is staying fresh and
Yeah.
not just being burned out, but part of it too must be the pressure. I mean, when your sole income is poker, and especially tournament poker, where you can just go through a dry spell where there's no intermediate days, it's all or nothing. You can really start to put so much pressure on yourself that you're playing worse.
it makes you I went 0 for 18 in 2005. We had 2005 in the World Series. And then last year I went 1 for by the 7th time I played, I was over it. I was like, I just want to play 50K horse. And this year, who knows? I mean, I just cashed in my second tournament, so I mean that feels good. But certainly, I'm not going to, like today. I didn't sleep. I don't sleep appropriately in Vegas. I won't play anything, so I'll just choose day by day. So I feel like I'm in a really good spot, luckier than most players, where I don't have to. I can do whatever I want, and I have a great deal with Full Tilt Poker, and they just really give me a lot of freedom to, like basically no rules. Which I think for a professional poker player, that's the way it has to be, or you're gonna just flee. Like Adam, you just flee. See Adam 2 years later. If you play too much poker, this is what happens. See, it's true.
See, Adam looked just like Kristy before.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. The years of worn on it. Kristy, can you talk a little bit about the heads up? Because you had a really good result there.
Yeah.
Run us through that a little bit.
Oh gosh. Well, I was. I had just come off the Commerce, so I'd been playing 5 days straight, and I have health issues, so I came to Vegas directly the next day, and I'd also been going, I know this sounds like bullshit, cop-out, but I've been going through some personal issues, and that I performed so well, I can't even believe it. I think because my life was at such turmoil in other areas that I got such intense focus, but by the 4th match, when I went to play Chad, I hadn't slept in 40 hours. I was exhausted. And, the adrenaline keeps you going. And I misread a hand on television. I don't know if you've heard, where I had quads. It came 3 6s. And I checked the file. I had 2 9s. And I joked. I said 666, like the Antichrist. And then the 6 come on the turn, and I bet out like a huge amount, thinking for some reason that
6 is full.
No, thinking that this is like Poker 101. This is for all you poker players, strategy out there. Thinking that that when you have quads, that no kicker plays, that we just automatically split, like when there's a full house on the board.
Right.
I did it on television in front of whatever million viewers, and then Chad at the end, he had the ace. I checked the end. He didn't even bet the ace because he was so convinced I had the ace. So he also made a mistake, but it was like Twilight Zone hand, and I do it in such a public forum. But hey, that's what happens. Everyone does it. They don't usually, everyone's misread their cards in big situations, but it happens, and it's like too much pressure, too much exhaustion.
I think that's one of the reasons, because of that very hand at this year's World Series, when they started out, they had an innovation where the 9s and 6s would be indistinguishable. So
that's right, because Kristy Gazes, she doesn't even know how to read the board.
A lot of people don't know that this year's cards, they got new cards. They responded to a lot of complaints about the cards last year, which were too thin. So now they got thick cards. The only problem is the 6s look exactly like the 9s.
And the clubs look like
the
spades.
Clubs look a lot. Otherwise, they're nice and thick and very easy to use.
That's good for like the
older
viewers, especially.
In fairness, they've taken those out of play now. And the cards that I played yesterday,
they're better now. Yeah, they're nice
fine.
cards.
Yeah.
So in your situation, you would have had like 5 of a kind.
Yes, well, that's what I thought it was. Yeah,
that's an ideal hand.
That was a great experience. It was the first time I got invited, so obviously I was pleased with my performance. I played at the Crystal Park a couple months before. It was the first time I ever played heads up tournament, so I performed in both of them, and looking forward to this one. I really like heads up poker because it reminds me of live poker more than tournament.
One thing about heads up tournaments in particular, because heads up freeze outs is different than just playing heads up live, is it's hard to find a lot of places to practice. I mean, how do you prepare for something like that?
It's just you play like online, really. I mean, it's just play heads up. I'll play these like $100 or $200, like sometimes up to a dime. But I think I like playing the smaller ones, even 50, 100, because the money means more to those people, if not just as much than the people who play the higher ones. And so they're playing harder, just as hard. I like to also go sometimes and play really small limit. online and live, just because to grind out and to prove to myself that I can do that and I have the capability to do that.
I like playing those smaller ones. If I lose 10 in a row, I can keep playing.
Yeah.
If I lose 10 of the big ones, then I'm an assistant options trader to you. Getting your coffee or whatever.
Yeah. I need one of those, actually.
Are
Can you come by? Yeah.
The two of us are available.
Really? My man slaves?
I'd like to assist you, Kristy, in any endeavor you choose. Are you going to play the big horse this year?
Yeah, I'm planning on winning that tournament. I hope. Last year I took too much Xanax the second day, and I was like, sure.
See, I recommend the stimulants.
Yeah, that's right. I know it's probably. I was nervous when I played that tournament the second day, which I rarely get nervous when I play poker. But I was like, and I took like a quarter of a Xanax, and I was like, what is on me? Like. Always an excuse.
You went from one extreme to the other.
Exactly, yeah.
That event has become the new big one. In terms of prestige, in terms of really crowning the top player in the world. Obviously, if anyone could choose, other than someone who's already a billionaire, they want to win the big one because it's the big money and the big fame in terms of public recognition and endorsements. But within the player community, pros and guys who really take it seriously, the 50K horse crowns the top dog.
Yeah,
and hopefully it'll be a pretty dog, but the top dog.
Thank you.
I mean, and I think that tournament had more buzz last year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the guys I knew who played it, like you say, guys who play for huge stakes, they were really nervous and excited about that. And I think this year it's horse from beginning to end. Last year,
really
it is. Oh, it is. I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
It's really
Oh, that's much better than the no limit at the end.
This year it's really a horse.
Yeah, that was silly.
And they've also changed the structure where last year. They made it pretty slow at the beginning, and then on the second day they had one or two levels where the blinds were so big that the field just went way down.
The second day too, like it didn't matter. No one had more than like 12 big blinds. It didn't matter what it was ridiculous.
One or two hands.
It was really silly, and especially with 3 stud games, that's like you're just asking for
2 hands.
And it really doesn't matter. Like you feel terrible about it because it's such a big ticket, but you're like, I didn't do anything wrong. I missed my straight. Like, sorry, buddy.
Well, you have to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, damn it.
You should have hit it.
I got to become more of a card rack.
I think that tournament's also different, and I'm interested because I didn't play last year, and I'd love to hear your experiences from it. But big part of tournaments now is that there's so many players.
Yeah.
Most of them are unknown. You don't know them.
Yeah, it's very tough.
You've got to figure it out on the fly. A lot of them are not good players. And,
a lot of kamikazes.
You've got to factor that in. But in a 50K horse, by definition, you've got most of the players you know who you've played with before, and you don't have a lot of maniacs because.
Yeah. You got a couple, and then the sprinkling of rich guys.
Yeah.
Rich dudes, and maybe that's a good place for all you single up-and-coming girls to find a husband.
That's one of your tips?
Yeah.
How's that
No, my tip is never even look or talk to a poker player ever. Never go out with a poker player. Whatever you do, just don't do it. Don't sleep with one. Don't even speak to them. Like when they try to talk to you at the table, just does not compute.
So you're saying do as you say, not as you do.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say that's been your tactic too.
Yeah, it's really been. I've been doing really
that's
good.
That's worked out for you.
No, I try not to date poker players anymore. I haven't. So as of late, I've been off with them since
now,
Bill will do it to you. Love you, man.
For people that don't know, you're married to Bill Gazes,
yes.
who's going to be on our show as well. And you guys have a great relationship still, even if you're not married.
Yeah.
How is it having 2 poker players married to each other, especially full-time poker players? I mean, you're talking about taking pressure off by doing another career. 2 poker players, both have tough days or tough stretches.
I think it's got to be akin to putting a latex suit on with like a little breather and like sitting there for like 48 hours straight without any food or water.
That sounds wonderful.
Oh, sorry. No, I think it's really tough. I mean, also the main reason because if somebody plays higher than you do, and Bill played higher than me, I think it's very, very tough to. If somebody loses more than you, they sort of negate. They're like, "Oh, you're only playing this limit."
Right.
That's a natural sort of thing. And although I did learn more about poker from Bill Gazes, I think he's one of the most underrated, best players in the world. Not only poker player, but gamblers. He's a phenomenal sports bettor. He trades options. He's a beautiful mind.
Billy's what I call a sharp.
Yeah, he's a sharp, and
he is a sharp. And the thing is, in this era, if you win a big televised tournament.
Yeah, you're a superstar.
Even if it's a tournament where at the end you're just moving all in because you don't have a lot of chips and you have to play, you're a superstar. Bill Gaze is a guy who he's won in every type of game, every environment for a long time, but maybe he'd rather keep some anonymity because it helps in terms of winning. What you were saying about playing big or small, this is a phenomenon when you're in the sports book and you've got a $10,000 bet on a game. And then when they lose on the last play, the guy who bet $10 is like, yeah! And you're next to him going,
It's pretty harsh.
buddy, I'll give you 20
Yeah, just
on the
stop
next
it.
game, and you leave
Yeah, I
now.
can't pay my mortgage this month.
You know,
course.
Billy's one of the super smart guys,
Yeah.
and he's a sharp. So he and I were at the same World Poker Tour final table,
Okay.
and he and I
I
are good
remember.
friends. And so we played. We
King
hooked
three.
up.
Anyways,
Yeah, I had King 3,
Yeah.
not with Billy. And we hooked up in
No,
one
that was
hand, and then I ended up laying down to Billy on the turn, but it was already a fairly big pot.
Yeah.
And then after, but I didn't see him for a couple of months, and I said, Billy, what did you have in that hand? He didn't remember. He's a sharp and he remembers everything, but that he didn't.
he'll probably come up to you now, like 3 years later. Oh, I had this in the hand. That's what he does. Like having a conversation with Bill, everything gets in there, but it's just like about a 3-month cycle for it to
he's
come back
gotta
out.
do
Yeah,
filtering
he's got to filter.
process.
Yeah, and he'll come to me now about things from when we were married. Oh, remember that thing, Bean? He calls me Bean, so that's my. I call him Long with nicknames. So yeah. Too much information again.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's fun
Anyways,
information.
yeah.
Kristy, it's been awesome having you here.
Thank you guys.
I think I can sense you're going to have a good series. 'Cause
Yeah, I have a
you're
good
in a
feeling.
good mood and
Yeah.
you're feeling good. So
I like
Okay.
you.
I like you guys. I really do. Really, thank
Thanks,
you.
Kristy.
Bye.
been a fun guest. Thanks for joining us on The Scoop. Join us tomorrow.